It's been 10 weeks since we opened our brand new print-on-demand Etsy shop, and after a super successful Christmas season, we've been struggling to get new orders in. But this last week, we've actually had several huge orders come in, and we've completely shifted our focus from posting custom products to original designs that, when they sell, are completely passive. So today, I'm going over everything that's happened up until this point. I'm going over how much profit I've made on each one of these huge orders, and the exact pricing tricks that I'm using to get these really large orders. If you've seen most of the videos in my series, you'll know almost all of the important steps to follow to grow your own shop. If you're serious about learning to make money online, then I highly recommend you watch the entire series, because this method can really help you grow and scale your shop. I'm only spending a little bit of time each day on the shop for these videos, but this same exact method has generated me over 7 figures on shops that take up a little bit more of my time. So if you're putting in a lot more time than I'm putting in at the moment, which is about an hour to 2 hours a day, you're gonna see incredible results. All right, we opened our shop on November 2nd and posted up 3 listings for sale, almost immediately getting our shop suspended. And I later found out that this was due to a technical glitch where they couldn't verify my tax information. After reaching out to support, about 7 days later, I got my account unsuspended and we could continue selling. I chose to list a bunch of custom items for sale because in my experience, this is the easiest way to get a ton of sales early on. My strategy for creating custom items was to make as many variations as possible so that we can post them all and start ranking organically in search traffic instead of having to run ads. Now, this has worked super well. After a slower start, December started to take off, generating us close to $2,000 in profit and $5,000 in revenue. But these sales were almost entirely due to the Christmas surge. Now, shortly after this, we had a huge disaster with a bunch of express orders getting lost in the mail, and we got our first 1-star review. Now, from what it looks like, this has resulted in a fairly rough, dry spell up until today. The cool thing is, even while I was out of town, I kept getting some orders coming in. So if we quickly change this to the last 7 days, we can take a look at our revenue, which is sitting at about $750 with 7 orders. Now, you might look at this and think, oh man, like I'm spending so much time on my shop and I'm hardly seeing any sales. But you have to realize I'm only spending about 2 hours a day on my shop. And the growth with e-commerce can be exponential. So the time we spend making great listings today will absolutely pay off in the future, resulting in a ton of passive income. Anyways, here's one of the big orders that came in over the weekend while I was out of town. You can see they ordered 40 mugs, and that resulted in us making a revenue of $432. Here's another big order that came in over the weekend for about 16 shirts, again, all with the same design, and this one brought in $248.53. Now for the 16 shirts, we spent about $190, and for the order of 40 mugs, we spent about $268. So as you can see, we got about $164 profit from the mug order and a $58 profit from the t-shirt order. But keep in mind, I only spent about 5 minutes fulfilling these orders because it was the same design on all of the products. And that leaves us with a $222 profit for honestly hardly any work. Now, granted, there are some Etsy fees mixed in there, so it isn't a complete profit, but all things considered, this is a great return on our investment. Now, I'll get into the exact profit and loss at the end of the video, but for now, we have to talk about these pricing tricks that I'm using to get these really large quantity orders. This is one of the most requested subjects, so you definitely don't want to miss it. Now, when it comes to getting sales, a lot of the time it does feel like luck, but there are a few strategies that we can use to maximize our chances of getting the sale. I've talked about a lot of these strategies in previous videos, and as you can see, it's clearly paying off. But today's tip is all about pricing. So let's go over exactly how to price your products so that you're maximizing your conversions and getting the most amount of sales and profit per order. Now, the first thing we have to do is figure out exactly what it costs to fulfill a product. So in my example, I'm going to use this blank t-shirt through Monster Digital. And right here you can see that the price is $9 and they charge $4.75 for shipping. So that means for each t-shirt order, we're gonna spend $13.75. Now, I'm using t-shirts for this example, but this same format can apply to any product you're selling. Now, the first thing we have to do is create a hook price. Now, what a hook price is essentially one variation of your product that is cheaper than all the others. So in this example, we'll take a look for a custom t-shirt. And if we like this one right here, you can see that it appears to be only $10.90. But if we actually click through and we check it out, and we click the drop down to see all of the variations, you can see that most of the t-shirts are actually priced a little bit higher than that $10.90 price tag. And that $10.90 price tag is actually just their tote bag that they've listed. So they are still selling a product for $10.90. That's the price that shows up on the first page of search results. But it actually entices more people to click through their listing. And the more clicks that you have on your listing is just going to result in more sales. And if we take a look back at the search results, you can see that almost all of the listings are using this strategy where they're offering one variation that's much cheaper, and then they'll have their actual prices once you click through the listing. And you can see that it does make a big difference as a shopper. If you see this $10 price tag versus the $20 price tag, in my opinion, you're more likely to choose the cheaper option. Now, we can actually take this even a step further by adding a sale. So here's another example of a listing that's using the price hook. You can see it appears to be $9.26, but if we click the drop down, almost all of their variations are a bit more expensive than that. And they've even taken it a step further where they have this toddler t-shirt, and only one of the variations of that toddler t-shirt is $9.26, and it's probably a variation that never sells. Now, they've actually taken this a step further, and you can see right down here, they have a sale ending in 35 hours, which doesn't sound like too much, but it does create a little bit of urgency around your listing. Now, I would always encourage you to be running some kind of a sale. As you can see, just for the search custom t-shirt, almost all of the listings are running a sale. And whenever you see a listing that is not running a sale, like this one right here, it kind of makes you feel like you're getting a poor deal because all of the other items are on sale, so why isn't this one? Even though it doesn't make a ton of sense, psychologically for buyers, they are way more likely to buy the products that are on sale. Now, this also creates an idea of value. See, instead of getting just a t-shirt that costs $16, they feel like they're getting a t-shirt that costs $28 that's marked down to $16. Now, this psychologically just makes them feel like they're getting a better deal and a higher quality item. This is just because we associate a higher price with higher quality, so having a higher price and then discounting it a little bit looks a lot better than just leaving a flat price. So in Printify or wherever you're setting your prices, this is what we need to do. We need to input the prices so that after we add the sale, the product will still be sold for the price that we want it to be sold for. So I've just picked my Be Cool listing, which is a Printify free graphic. It's a pretty cool design. And all I'm gonna do is scroll down to the pricing section. From here, all I do is I select all of the variants, and you can edit the profit margin on all of the variants all at once. And so let's say you wanted something like a 59% profit margin. Well, you can see right here, it's telling us that our profit would be about $13. Now, this is not accurate because it doesn't calculate in our sale. So if we set our t-shirts to a 59% profit margin, you can see the retail price would be $21.95. Now, if we actually come over here, you can see that with a 25% discount, if we're running that on Etsy, then the customer would actually end up paying $16.46 for that t-shirt. Now, it's really important to make sure that we're charging a little bit more than it actually costs us to make the shirt. And this is great because we still have to add in our shipping costs. But real quick, back in Printify, we can actually add our bait price right inside of it. So if we want to make a variation that probably isn't going to sell that often a little bit cheaper, we can just click the drop down, and let's say our small yellow shirt, we don't think it's going to sell as often. So what we could do is we could take this price and we could make it, let's say $18.95. So if someone still did order that small yellow t-shirt, they would be charged about $14.21, which would still cover the product and shipping costs. But doing this allows our listing to show up on the first page of search results as costing $14.21 instead of $16.40. And this still ensures that if that variant sells, we're not losing any money. But from here, once we have all of our pricing options set inside of Printify, we can just hit save as draft. And now each time that we copy and post another one of those listings for sale, we won't have to re-edit all of the pricing details inside of Etsy, Vela, or Printify. Now, like I already mentioned, I do like charging between $4 and $7 for shipping, depending on the product we're selling. So if we just plug those exact numbers into an Etsy fee calculator, you can see we're charging about $16.46 for the shirt, $5.50 for shipping, and then these are our costs to ship and our costs for the shirt. You can see the total breakdown of what everything would be right down here at the bottom, and we're sitting at about a 25 to 26% profit margin with these exact prices. So as you can see from the example in this video, if we're using the exact same prices, our gross profit is going to be $5.67 each t-shirt. Now, I've seen successful shops that do not utilize this feature, but Etsy does claim that your listings will get more visibility and priority in search if you're offering the free shipping over $35 guarantee. So we do want to consider that when we're pricing our products. I like to make sure that the customer needs to buy at least 3 products to qualify for this guarantee. So I'll make sure that if they order 2 products, it won't quite hit the $35 mark. And this will just guarantee that you're maximizing your profits and you're not losing money if they're ordering 3 or more products. Now, following these pricing strategies is exactly how I was able to take a $200 profit from just those 2 orders. Okay, I messed up severely on last week's profit and loss. So here we go with a more detailed and accurate version. So our lifetime revenue for this challenge is $6,664.55. After we remove the Etsy fees, which came out to $808.85, and the product costs, which cost us $3,383.10, we're left with a profit of $2,472.60, which is not too bad if you ask me. But a few other exciting things that I wanted to mention for the channel. First of all, you can find my Instagram down below, so if you want to reach out and message me directly, feel free to do that and I can answer any questions that you might have. Secondly, I'm currently working on a Photoshop plugin that will automatically generate your mockups without you having to export them manually, which is a huge time saver. I previewed this on my video where I talk about starting a sticker business, which you should definitely check out if you haven't already. Let me know down in the comment section if you're interested in the Photoshop plugin so I can prioritize it if it's something you're actually interested in. I'm also working on a Printify uploader program, which will automatically title your products based on a list of keywords you give it, which I also showcased in this video as well. I'm thinking of giving this program away once I hit 100,000 subscribers, just as an incentive for me to keep growing. But let me know your thoughts on this as well down in the comment section. I'd love to hear what you think. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. I hope this helps, and I'll see you next time.